time we give back. Sow a seed and show someone where love's at. Even if you don't give a dime, give your heart and share your time. Help somebody else in life. Give back. Let's give back.
Go.
So welcome to Metaphor Club, and I'm Robbie Danzie. I'm going to be navigating this interview with author Hosea James Givan II. And it is for his book signing for Reach Your Community. We'll have a Q&A following the interview. And then also we'll have the books available in the back, I do believe, for purchase.
That's correct.
Hosea James Givan II was born in Chicago, Illinois, and raised in Hollis, Queens, New York. He has 2 masters, one in education and another in urban ministries. Hosea has been featured on Fox, ABC, CNN, Spectrum News, NY1, and News 12, and has received numerous awards and honors for his commitment to social change. Hosea currently chairs the National Give Back for Kids Incorporated, an organization devoted to promoting public service. He is married to Rachel Cheeks Givan, and they have a teenage daughter, Rebecca. He and his family currently reside in the Bronx, New York. He was blessed with 2 civic-minded parents who instilled in he and his brothers and a sister a deep sense of obligation to engage in community service. Ladies and gentlemen, Hosea Givan II.
For that introduction.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
So why don't we start out with talking about how many years you put into serving the community and what that looks like.
Yeah, I've been doing this, working in the community at least, wow, I'm scared to say that, 40 years? 40 years, yeah, 40 years. But my first volunteer experience took place when I was 13 years old. My father ran a basketball league in Hollis, Queens, where I'm from. And the league was from 9 to 12, and I aged out. And so instead of me staying at home watching cartoons is what we did when we were young on Saturday mornings. My father said, no, you gotta come and do some volunteer work in the league. So I became a volunteer coach at 13 years old, and that was my first venture into giving back, volunteering. And it went well. I was voluntold, it wasn't really a volunteer experience, but it was one that really helped to shape my attitude about the importance that I felt empowered by helping others. I mean, I saw its value, even as a 13-year-old, I saw its value. And so ultimately, once I got out of college, I went back into it.
So some of the young men that you were assisting the coaching, they were much older. They weren't much older. They were younger than you, right? They were younger than you.
Yeah, but it was at, I was 13, they may have been 12 and a half, so it was like 6 months apart, so it wasn't that big a difference.
Did you find that they kind of followed your direction fairly well at that age, you being slightly older almost?
So my dad ran the league, but he assigned me to a man who I felt helped to really carve into me. Like when you give back or when you volunteer, you do it with all your heart, with all your mind, with the seriousness and the focus. He ran it like it was like the New York Knicks. He was like a neighborhood team. He's a captain. His name was George Northcroft, and he was a brother that really made me, and he held me accountable as a 13-year-old. As if I was Van Gundy and he was Pat Riley. But I learned a lot from him, and it helped me to again shape my attitude about the value of being putting everything into your effort as a volunteer. So to answer your question,
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Okay, all right.
So the league that your father started, is that league the league you would continue, or did you get another league,
So my father's league, the Howard Biddies basketball league, yeah, from Howard Springs, as she mentioned in the bio. Run DMC, DMC, Jam Master J was a player and a coach in the league. All the kids in the house participated in that. That league ran for about 11 years. It started in 71 and ended in about 82. When I got out of school in 83, my first volunteer experience was not in youth related. It was actually politics. I got heavily involved in politics when I got out of school, but again, volunteering, helping to elect mayors and congressmen and voter registration drives. But in 94, I said, you know what, let me get back into the community where I'm from. And so I resurrected my dad's league in 94. And that ran for about 20 years. So that's your question.
So the Resurrected League, is it named the same? Is it the same concept?
Same concept, same. The difference was my dad he worked for IBM. And IBM was the primary sponsor of the league. So we had to kind of do things a little differently in terms of how we went and got sponsorship. So it wasn't quite the same. They had a lot more than we were able to give them initially. IBM really put a lot of money into my dad's league. But we got some support from some of the politicians. Nike came on board at one point. Yeah, it was very similar. We enhanced it a bit too. We enhanced it, did some things. We want to build upon what he created. So we did some things that were I think next level. We actually had nationally ranked teams that played in AU tournaments and other national tournaments. We had nationally ranked players. Some of our teams, we became nationally known at one point. People knew about the Hollis Biddies in Alabama, in Florida, in DC, in Boston, in Philadelphia. So it was we took the same concept and we built it.
So with several decades of community service, with all these young men for all these decades, have you had any testimonials from any of them? Have they come back to tell you how it made, what impact it might have made on their lives, on their decisions, on their careers?
So when we resurrected the program, it was at the school where I was a dean in Hollis, Queens. And so I was not only the dean of the school, I was the commissioner of the basketball league, I was the coach of the traveling team. And so I had a lot of influence over a lot of kids, and I used that as leverage to kind of keep some of those kids on the straight and narrow. If they wanted to participate in the league, they had to do the right thing in school. So to answer your question, yes, I've been blessed with the fact that they have come back and express their appreciation for the time that I spent with them and the things that I've done. And you don't always get that from from what you put in, but I have gotten that, and it's definitely it's a wonderful feeling to know that the time that you put in is appreciated.
So you gave back, and some of those people that you just said that you helped came back to let you know how you had blessed their lives, made their lives better. What about your own life? How was it made better by what you did for the community, or what you're still doing, actually?
Well, for me, it's aligned with my purpose. I think if you are, I think the way my life is formed, I'm doing what I think God has intended me to do. And so, as long as I feel that I'm moving in that path, there's a benefit and a reward that I feel ultimately. If I don't get this life, I'll get the life. You just want to know that you're doing the best you can to make the world better. I have a daughter that's about to turn 16, so you want to try to make the world better for her. And I guess that's a large part of the motivation. You just want to make the world better for the people you care about, the people you love, the community that you love. My mother brainwashed our kids. We love our people. We love our people, and that's largely due to my mother's love for people. She's a Harlemite, a proud Harlemite, and she really, really helped us to have a deep love for our people. And when you have a love for people, then you want to help people. That's kind of
So the help in the community, this book is somewhat an extension of that, I take it. This book, Reach Your Community, actually is somewhat of a manual, I think, from what I've read, on how to put together a sports team to help your inner city community. Can you talk a bit about that? What points you want people to get when they read this book?
right. So Reach Your Community through basketball and other sports is a step-by-step process as to how you can impact your community through sports. I provide examples of kids that we've been successful with. And if you're really involved to the degree that we were involved, you're not going to always be successful. So we want to give people a realistic view that you can give 100%, but you can't not be jeopardized. So that's in there as well. But when we think about creating these programs, we don't always look at how we can impact the kids, but we don't always think about how we can impact the coaches, the men that are actually involved with the kids. And so today, what I find is that some of the men are just as needy as some of the kids in terms of guidance and direction and support and encouragement and nurturing. So where I was located, where the examples that I used was in the South Bronx. And my particular part of the Bronx was Blood Territory. That's a gang for those that don't know. That's a street gang. And so what I felt, as long as those men, because their kids were involved with my program, and if they wanted to be involved, as long as they were genuine and sincere about their effort to work with the young people, I really didn't care what they did outside of here, but the goal was to influence them, to flip them, to like change the direction. Which I give examples that they stepped in as street cats, but left as plumbers, I'm trying to think of one thing outside the pockets. So step on in, man. Come on in.
Okay, I appreciate it.
What's happening, man?
All right.
All right. Can I ask you a question?
I hear you talking about the boys and the men. Is this an equal opportunity situation, or is this, is it really mainly or only geared towards helping young men?
Yeah. So my focus is men. It's developing boys into men. My focus, right? But you can apply this to people who identify as females or anybody. But my focus has been throughout my life, or at least through this part of my life, has been to develop boys into men. What I see in the community is that we need more men to be involved with these boys. Part of why these boys are going buck wild, angry, is that they don't have that nurturing, they don't have that love, they don't have that guidance, they don't have that interaction with a positive male figure, and they're angry. And as a result, I think that's part of why we see some of the violence that we see. That's something that if these young men had men in their lives, it may have made a difference. And I believe that that's one of the voices in our community today. We have to get our men more involved with these young people. So how do we do that in a way that's non-threatening? I think sports is one of those ways that can happen. When you get men involved with the community, particularly these fathers, I was just talking about these cats that were Bloods, they would just hang out on the block. They had their own commerce doing what they do. now I'm saying, there's other options. They see that there are other options, talking to them about other things that they can do. But when they walk into do y'all use the term bodega out on the West Coast? Is bodega a term?
But we know what it is.
Y'all know what it is?
We're more liquor store people.
Yeah.
So if a young person is with their parent and they see their coach in the grocery store, everybody has a grocery store, right? If they see their coach in the grocery store, they say, hey, there goes some coach, a guy that didn't have any kind of status in the community now has a sense of pride, because now this kid is looking at him as a leader. And a lot of those guys never had that feeling, and no one ever put them in that position to lead. Because if you're a coach, you're a leader, and we're training them to lead. So one of the voids that's in our community is grassroots leadership. So you can use this to begin to get people to take responsibility in leadership roles and develop and enhance them through the training and the nurturing and the support and the guidance that we offer through programs like this.
When we spoke earlier, you shared with me a portion of your book. There's an excerpt in there about, there's some quotes. There's a quote.
Okay.
Would you mind reading that quote?
Do
I think it was quite nice.
Okay, which one? From LeBron?
And from Kobe Bryant, since we're in Los Angeles right now.
So these are, so the book has several quotes from several different people, sometimes quotes from myself. But this particular quote is from LeBron James. I told myself, if I ever made it to the level I want to be at, I'm going to give back. LeBron James. The most important thing to try and inspire people, the most important thing is to try and inspire people so that they can be great at whatever they want to do. Kobe Bryant.
Was there any other section you'd like to share with us?
Not sections, but again, part of the book is a manual that really gives you from soup to nuts, everything that you need to know about creating a lead. There's an appendix section to the book, and there's about 30 pages of information and documents that you would need to create a successful basketball. Like I said, the book talks about my experiences involved with these programs. It talks about the kids that we've impacted. It talks about the adults that we've impacted. The irony, I focus on 3 kids, and I focus on 3 adults. 2 of the 3 adults that I wrote about in this book, one died, he was in his early 40s last year. Totally random, there wasn't anything that we could have. The brother was 6'6". He was probably my most reliable volunteer. And then the other brother that is kind of out of commission, coming out of COVID, a lot of our community experienced mental health issues. And I put him in the category of just suffering from mental health issues. And you poured 7 years. I've spent 7 years into developing these young men to take over, because my whole thing is passing the leadership on to, we have to replenish. I believe I have to replenish myself and people like me to do the work, because we need it. And it was kind of a setback, a huge setback, to lose 2 of the 3 people I reference in this book. But you don't stop. You don't stop. You keep going. There's one left, but ironically another guy came to kind of replace one of them. But that's another, when you're dealing with our urban communities, there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be setbacks, and I try to be realistic about the fact that you're going to have some challenges. it's hard. This is hard work. You know, it's not easy, but it's something you have to be committed to. We talked about sacrifice, you know, and people are just not accustomed to sacrificing today to the degree that it's necessary for the community to rise. You know, we have individual successes. You know, virtually everybody in this room is successful. But I feel that if we've been blessed, we have an obligation to bless others. You know, if we've had the benefit of people pouring love into our hearts and helping us stay on the positive path, it's our obligation, our responsibility to do the same for others. I played on probably 30 teams between the ages of 8 and 18. And I probably had about 200 teammates over the course of those various teams. I probably had 20 different coaches. Of those 20 coaches, 4 of them were paid. 3 in high school, 1 in junior high school. So that means 16 guys somehow, and they had assistants, were involved in my life giving back because they felt it was the right thing to do. Of my 200 plus teammates, how many of those guys have done anything close to what was done for them? You know, and so I'm trying to reach them, you know, because they have the responsibility. Then I have kids. You talked about the league. You talked about the league we started in the Bronx. I started a citywide basketball league in New York City under the sponsorship of Nike. So that's thousands of kids. They all have a responsibility to help somebody else, because all of those coaches, none of those coaches were paid. They were all volunteer and giving back. So it's essential that that this message goes out, because excuse me, people don't care anymore. You know, and I think I was, like I told y'all, I was involved in politics, but I realized part of the challenges and things that have to happen in our communities, we can't legislate. We can't legislate people to care, right? You get people to care because they felt care and they've been cared for. And so you have to generate more people to convey that and experience that and give that. And that's when change occurs. And that's hard work. I mean, it's really, really hard to do that. But if we don't take on those challenges, we won't see the changes that need to be made. We need good politicians, right? I was on that path. I was on that path to be one of those guys. Arnold was that. But I chose to move in a different direction because my guys that were politicians, I knew they were going to do what they did, but they weren't going to do what I was trying to do. So we need people just to give for the right reasons. You don't do it because you're looking for the next Kobe Bryant. You don't do it because you're looking for the next LeBron James. And you do it because you believe it's the right thing to do and that you're helping your community and helping to uplift your community. When we won, we came in second place in the national tournament, my kids, when they were in 3rd grade. And when we came back to Hollis, we had a parade down Hollis Avenue. And we might as well have been the Yankees going down Broadway, the way the community came out and the energy that it generated within the community, and the excitement and appreciation in the community. You can't, those are the things that are important to communities to generate those kind of feelings, because you're taking kids, putting them on a national stage, coming back to your community, showing your community that you can take kids from your community and put them at the highest level. And that goes far. That goes far. You asked about, is this equal opportunity? So I was so successful with my boys. I remember, because I was a dean at the elementary school, these kids were part of it. I remember being heckled by a woman because I wasn't doing this for girls. Now, I'm doing 100% plus for boys, but I wasn't doing it for girls. That's not my calling. That's not my calling. You know, and she didn't want to hear it. She was like, she was like, she told me, oh, you just care about the boys. This is my thing. Now, if you want to do the girls, go by all means. But I'm doing what I feel I should be doing for my boys. And I shouldn't feel bad because I'm not doing it for everyone. And that's sometimes the pressure that you get when you're successful. You know, everybody wants a part of it. Everybody wants you to do it for their kid, but you can't always. Did I answer your question?
You did, several times.
All right.
Second to the last question from me, and then we will turn it over to the Q&A portion of the evening. What's the one message, just, brief 1 or 2 sentences that you want people to get from this book? Because this clearly is not about basketball.
No, it's not.
What is this about, this book? What is your message?
So, the book, we use basketball as an example of how you can organize your community, how you can energize your community, how you can create leadership within your community. It's all about how we can build communities. It's really, through sports is what we're using, but for me, the goal is to build communities and help to develop leaders within communities. Our communities, again, we're really lacking.